Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Marvin and Friends Craft and Storytime series. I'm Kezia Jones from the St. James Public Library, and today we have with us Oprah Francis, the author and illustrator behind the adventures of Marvin the Mischievous Manicou. So tell us, Oprah, what are we going to do today?
Today we'll be making Tamika the Tatu, who's actually one of the animals from the adventures of Marvin the Mischievous Manicou.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit about Tamika.
One thing a lot of people don't know about Tamika is that she's actually famous and known around the world, but not as a tattoo.
Really?
Yeah, around the world, people call her an armadillo.
That's really interesting, especially for persons who may have heard of a tattoo before, but have never really seen one. It's good to know that tattoos and armadillos are the same animal. So can you tell us more about Tamika?
One of my favorite things about Tamika is her ability to wrap herself up into this small round ball to hide from her predators. I think that's a really awesome trick to play.
It is. Is that why you named her Tricky Tatu?
Yes, actually it is.
Well, great. Now that we know more about Tamika and tattoos in general, let's get into today's activity. So tell us, Oprah, how are we going to make Tamika?
So let's start with her body. To give you a closer look at Tamika, as you can see here, Tamika has a cream in her body. So her feet are cream, her hands, her face and her tail, and she also has a brown outer body as well. So let's start from there. For her body, let's go to the cream bristol board, right? So we have a nice piece of cream bristol board right here. So let's cut this in half so we share it for the both of us. You could use cream bristol board. Another trick I also like to use if this isn't available, you could also use a manila folder because you get the same texture, you get the same color as well, or simply just regular bristol board and you could color it cream as you please using crayons, color pencils, any material you have available to you. So as we mentioned before, we're using the cream for Tamika's body. So we're going to draw a nice oval shape for her main body. So we're coming here, a nice circle on top, and straight to the bottom. Right? So that will be her body. And then we're going to draw a smaller shape, a full oval type shape for her head. So you can make this a bit long. And we're going to do two more similar shapes for her feet. And one long tail. And you can make this a bit longer so that you have a little extra to stick. So usually what I like to do, I would draw with the pencil first just to get it right, because you could always erase if you don't get it right and start over again. And when I get the shapes that I want, I would use a black marker to draw my final outline. So we just draw a nice thick black line around the pencil marks that we just made. So we have her head, we have her tail, a nice long pointed tail. So we're coming to a peak right here. And we have the base for her body. Right? And then we have the shapes for her body. So to cut these out, what I usually like to do as well, I would just cut roughly around the outside just to get rid of all the excess material, so that I could get closer to the shapes that I just drew. So this is a nice little technique. So we could put all this to the side. And then we get closer to the shapes. So we cut each shape. Get nice and close. Just like this. And now we could cut out each shape. Just like this. So Kezia, you could cut the body right now. Right? So we need to be very careful when we're cutting, especially around the corners and the curves. So we get nice and close to the black lines. That looks great. So right now we have her head, we have her feet, we have her tail, and we have her body as well. So let's move on to her body. So let's clear the work area a bit, right? So we could put these to the side as well. And we're focusing on the body that we made previously. Right, so put the googly eyes to the side. So we have our brown bristol board, and we will use this for her shell. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the body that we cut before, and we're actually going to draw a shape that's a little larger than the body. So we put our body here, and we're just going to draw an outline that's a little wider than the body, and we're going to draw a full circle. Right, so we have that shape. So let's just continue going round and round. So we have a decent circle here. And just like before, we're going to take our black marker to draw the outline around the circle. We're just going to trace over the circle we just drew with our pencil. And as I mentioned before, this is a nice little trick I do to help me with cutting. Because the line would be so thick, it's easier to cut around. So you just do a nice rough estimate. Just like that, right? So we put our black marker to the side. And then we need to divide our circle into different pieces. So we're going to use our ruler and draw lines throughout the circle. So draw a line to the half mark here. We're going to draw a line to the half mark along the next way. So we could probably draw about 4 lines or so. So we have different shapes. Just like that. And again, we're going to use our trusty black marker to thicken our lines a bit, just to help us with the cutting process. Right, so take our time and draw our lines right across. Make sure we meet. So these would be the different shapes that will come together to form her shell, just like that. So now we're going to take our scissors and actually cut this shape out. Right, so Kezia, you want to cut this shape? So I'll hold this here. So you could just cut the excess material. So you could just cut around here roughly, so you could get closer to the shape. Yeah, just a nice rough cut. Because the less excess material you have, the better. Right. So now we're just going to cut a bit closer and we're going to actually cut each shape out. So each triangular shape, we're going to cut those out. Right, so let's just get right around the edge like this. Right? And put our excess to the side. Let's keep the workstation clear. All right? So we have the different pieces for her shell coming around here. So you can see them forming in shape, nice curve. And we'll lay them over each other. So let's get her body, right? So let's bring back her body. So we have her main body. We have her tail. We have her head. And we also have her feet as well. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to layer the different shell pieces around her body. So let's attach her body together. So we're going to take a little bit of glue and apply it to her head. Make sure we put it on the tip right here, not too much. And we stick the head to the tip. And we're going to do the same thing with her feet. Right, so just to the tip, because we want it to protrude like this. And we really want to stick these pieces first because we want to layer her shell over everything. So we can see her feet, her tail, her head coming out of the shell. Just like that. And we put a little bit to the bottom of the tail, not too much glue, because you don't want any oozing out or anything like that. And we're just going to stick this like that. Apply a little pressure with your fingertips, just to seal. And we have her body coming together. So Kezia, what you could do for me now, we are going to start sticking the different shell pieces. We're going to layer the shells around her body. So from piece to piece, just like this, we're going to layer it around. So make sure it overlaps so we get that layered effect, right? So let's start with the first piece. So I'm going to put a little glue just to the middle here and just run along the edge. So you can stick this first piece. Right? Going to stick a little glue. And I stick the second piece. And when you're sticking, so you line each of them up from the center and just layer it over the next one. Just like that. And apply some pressure with your fingertips just so that it holds in place. Alright, just like that. Perfect. Right, so just make sure we apply glue to the middle here. We put some to the edge. Right, not too much. So you start off with a little, and when you layer it, if you need more, you could add more after. And so you can see we have Tamika's body coming along really nicely. So the last thing we need to do is just give Tamika a bit more life. So we're going to add some eyes and some texture to her body as well. So let's apply some googly eyes. Well, we just need one since we're just doing one side of Tamika. So we have our glue. So we apply just a drop of glue right here, not too much. Right, get off the excess. And we're going to stick this on to her face. Right, so we're just applying a bit of pressure. So we have her body coming along. And just to give her some texture, we could have give her a nice little smile and apply some different textures to her body as well. So just some lines on her tail. And you could probably just put some dots, some little circles along her shell. So you could use, I like to use a brown marker for this bit, so it blends in well with the brown bristol board we use for her shell. But you could also use black or other colors, maybe a little yellow, a little red, but the brown is my favorite. So we have a nice scaly shell. Perfect. And the final thing we need to do would just be to give Tamika a nice little smile. So let's draw a nice little smile. Right here, nothing too fancy. And here we have Tamika.
Thank you, Oprah, for visiting us today. And to learn more about Tamika the Tricky Tatu, Marvin the Manicou, and other animals in Trinidad and Tobago, follow Marvin the Manicou on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And don't forget to follow Nalis on Facebook and Instagram for the next episode of Marvin and Friends Craft and Storytime series.